was interested in the way that engines work. Some of the most basic engines that we use are two-stroke engines, and that's what I want to talk about. It's really basic. For as long as I can remember, I've worked on various forms of two-strokes like chainsaws, weed whackers, some lawn mowers, and now I work on dirt bikes occasionally. At some point in your life, there's a great chance that you have used a two-stroke engine, more than likely, or you will at some point. Today I will teach you some basic knowledge on just how that piece of machinery works and provide you with some much needed mechanical assistance if something breaks. Let's begin with some basic knowledge in terms of engine components of two-stroke engines. So there's obviously a piston, there's the crankshaft, there's connecting rods, and there's the cylinder, and they all move together. You also have the spark plug and some intake and exhaust ports. So what it means, two-stroke means that the piston takes two strokes, so one down and one up for a full combustion cycle. So the cylinder is what the piston travels within. It sits in here and it has some piston rings that seal against the wall. That way there's no blow-by of exhaust gases and combustion material. So this is the piston. The top part is the piston. This is the connecting rod. So this is just the piston. And you can see those little grooves up there. Those are where the piston rings sit. And that's what seals it against the wall of the cylinder, so that way you don't have things going by it. So before you can talk about any kind of combustion or anything that happens within the cylinder, you have to talk about how the air and fuel get mixed together in order to create combustion. So a carburetor does that. It intakes fuel through inlet ports and puts them through a diaphragm, which then in turn injects them into the cylinder intake port through jets and things like that vaporize the fuel. And two-strokes also have oil within the fuel that lubricates everything, unlike a four-stroke where you just have a sump and it circulates through the motor. So, obviously, first off, you want to talk about, they happen in a revolution, so no one comes before the other, but for demonstration, we'll just say that the compression stroke happens first. So when the piston's coming up within the cylinder, it compresses the already present air-fuel mixture, and when it compresses it, the spark plug is timed in such a way that it ignites the fuel and it sends the piston back down through the cylinder. And then, where you get the spark from is the magneto, not that magneto, that's the magneto. And how that happens is there's a magnet on the flywheel on the crankshaft that has a magnet, and this is also a magnet pickup. And when you take two magnets and pass them by each other in a certain way, they create voltage. Now it's really low, but if you pass them through coils, then that amplifies the voltage, and it's timed in such a way that when the piston reaches that top dead center point, it ignites and jumps the spark gap. And we'll go here. So this is the spark plug, and if you look right here, this little gap right here, that's the spark gap. So it takes a certain amount of voltage for it to jump that gap and ignite fuel. So that all happens, moves back down the cylinder, and then you get to the exhaust and intake. So it's kind of confusing to think about it, but when the piston's coming up in compression, it's also intaking fuel through that intake port over there, and it sends it into the crankcase and up through here. And when the piston comes back down, it exhausts some of that combusted fuel mixture air stuff, and it pushes it back through low air pressure back into the transfer port up above the cylinder, so it ends up in all like a circle revolution. So it never really one happens for the other. So now that the piston is down in motion, you can look at that, and I didn't do that. So So today I'll provide you with some very basic knowledge and useful knowledge on how a two-stroke works. It's kind of confusing, but once you work on them, it's really simple. And with some basic knowledge, you gain understanding of your own engines, possibly save you money by doing some of your own work and own repairs. As I said, there's a very good chance at some point you will use a two-stroke engine, or you have already. And I hope the next time someone asks you about an engine, you can pass on some knowledge that I've taught you today. And